Hey, what's up, Unbroken Nation? We have the opportunity, even though we go through these very terrible emotional, physical ailments, right? Because I would argue that the illness is more emotional than it is physical at times, debilitating, painful, things of this nature. What was really the precursor and the catalyst for you deciding to take back your life by learning, by getting educated, by trying literally what it sounds like everything? What was that like for you?
I think that stems back to a core belief that I developed in childhood that I am strong and I need to advocate for myself. And I know a lot of times we hear about core beliefs, and a lot of times they can be negative core beliefs, right? I am not enough. I don't deserve healing, all of these things that we can be stuck with. And of course, I have my fair share of those that I've had to learn and address over the years. But this was a core belief that really helped me and guided me throughout the process. So I remember during some of my deepest, darkest moments, a point where if you've had Lyme disease or you've had the parasitic infection, they can be similar in the fact that you can have hallucinations. And I was having one. And if you've ever experienced a hallucination, it's like you're not yourself, you're somebody totally different, and it's horrifying. And I remember experiencing that. I'd never experienced anything like it. And I was lying on the ground and I was crying. And I was like, I just want to die. This is horrible. I'm not myself. And looking back, I'm like, okay, that was my nervous system. That was like my limbic system in overdrive, the emotional, feeling, reacting brain, just firing and firing, surviving, right? And I was like, I don't think I can survive this. And I remember having a moment where I thought, this can't be it. This can't be all that there is. And I think that core belief of I am strong and I am my advocate, it did shine through even in that moment. Like that was probably the worst moment of despair. I just very, very vividly remember lying on the ground and what that felt like. That shone through, even though I didn't feel it, even though I didn't really believe it, it was there. And then the fact that I became aware of it made me realize in other situations when that core belief came out. So then I went to see a therapist who told me, oh, your story is the worst story. This was an 80-year-old therapist. And she said, your story is the worst story I've ever heard, just with your childhood trauma and dealing with this chronic disease. And I was sitting there and I was thinking, it can't be. I was like, there's no way this is the worst story she's ever heard. I want to prove her wrong. I'm strong and I'm my advocate. And I would go see practitioners and they would say, just like you probably experienced, Michael, of going through POTS and E. coli and these types of conditions. My practitioners, most of them that I saw, would say something along the lines of, you're just going to have to make yourself comfortable and live with this for the rest of your life. And that core belief that was there was like, no, I am not. I'm going to prove you wrong. And that was my motivator for change, my catalyst for change of, I want to prove these people wrong who supposedly they know best, right? No, I know best. I have healing properties within me. I believe in my body and I believe in my immune system. And luckily, that neural pathway in my brain related to strength and resilience was strong despite my circumstances, my internal environment, my body, my external environment, what was going on around me. That neural pathway was still strong. And that just strengthened and strengthened and strengthened. And when I read about neuroplasticity and I learned that we can retrain our brains to basically communicate a signal of resilience, a signal of health through accessing our natural resilience, which is our parasympathetic rest and digest or growth and repair response. And when we operate from that response more often than not, and our autonomic nervous system responses are balanced, that fight flight response, that freeze response, that fawn response, that growth and repair response, when we can kind of easily bounce back between all of those responses, that's when we start to feel better. Blood flow gets sent to our GI tract to digest food. We actually communicate through our cells and through our genetic expression a new way of being. We actually can change the way our genes expressed through releasing feel-good neurochemicals like dopamine when we laugh, or oxytocin when we give somebody a hug, or we give to somebody in need. So those are very small, tangible examples of how we can change our neurochemistry to help us to feel better and to even shift our health and put focus on our immune systems. And so when I read about this, I had learned about it in PA school, a very kind of small snippet of what I know now, but it was so empowering to me. And at that point, after dealing with this condition for a year, I was like, I need something empowering. I have outsourced so much of my ability to heal on external resources, right? Other practitioners, other people, other things, supplements, even other tools that may help a little bit and may have gotten me to a place where I could use these neuroplastic tools. But I was so tired of outsourcing my healing. I wanted at that point to tap into my natural resilience. And to me, learning about brain retraining was really empowering because it followed that same trajectory of one of my favorite neural pathways, one of my favorite core beliefs of I am strong and I am my own advocate.